Hello, Assalamu alaikum and good evening. Welcome to another episode of the Classics Show. I am your host, Shabnam Riaz. Well, you know, as I've often said at the beginning of the program, this is really a time of the week that I really look forward to when we get a chance to talk about, to unwind and talk about those things that are the creative process in life, the things that are, you know, really soul food, and those things that we need to take out the time to slow down and to enjoy. And out of many of the things that we enjoy in life, in art, music, writing, poetry, one of them is photography. How many times have you seen a photograph and thought to yourself, oh God, that just speaks to me, that just speaks to my soul, and you can find so much in a single photograph. So today's program is about the art of photography and what photography means in art. And for that, we are very happy to have with us in our program the very talented young lady, Waliha Najeeb, who is a photographer who has a huge passion for her work. Waliha, thank you very much for joining us here today.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me.
So, you know, we've seen photography take a tremendous sort of a change over the years. You know, before, we had people who were photographers by profession, career, passion, and it was something that was somewhat limited.
Mm-hmm.
Now with the sort of advent of smartphones and digital cameras
and social media,
it seems that everybody is exploring this art.
Yeah.
So how do you categorize photography as an art?
This is an argument which I think has been going on since forever.
Right.
And people think that photography is too literal a form to be considered as art. But I do think it is very, very similar, and actually it is art.
Yes.
I have not, I'm a self-taught photographer, and I have not learned photography, but I have seen art all my life. My mother's an artist, and I have seen her make these beautiful compositions and work with color and forms and everything. And I feel that is how I have learned photography. And if photography wasn't art, I would not be able to relate the two. But because I have seen art in my home my whole life, that is how I learned photography. I just thought that photography was my way of expressing things. But the way I have learned it is through art. And
Fantastic.
so I think it is.
That's such a valid point, you see, because all we're talking about is just the medium. It's just a change, and as it is, you know, in all creative processes, you'll either have the poetry, or you'll have the novel, or you'll have the prose, or then you'll have the music, you'll have a symphony, a couple
and the
of
rules
notes.
apply. They're the same for each.
Yeah.
As I said, the compositions are the same. You play with color, you play with form, and all of those things. So they're pretty much the same. It's just your medium is different.
As
Your
you
way
said.
expressing it is through something different, but it
Right.
is one and the same.
Right, fantastic. Okay, so you said you're a self-taught photographer. How did that come about?
I have grown up loving pictures and being, it was a very normal thing in our household. Our childhoods have literally been documented by our parents because they love taking pictures. And so it was a very normal thing for us as we grew up. I was gifted my first camera when I was very young. I think I was about in the 6th grade or 5th grade. And so I used to carry it around everywhere and take pictures of everything. But it was very much later on when it became very, very more important to me. It was about when I was 18 or 19 years old, and I was going through this really hard time in my life, and my father had passed away recently, and I just thought of photography as something that would still make me happy in those times, and I was able to express myself through that, and it gave me an escape from reality, and I was able to create things and. So it was
had
just
a soothing factor.
It did.
Definitely,
it did.
Sort of a balm. You know, I can understand
sure.
exactly, because lots of art is like that as well. It does have that quality to it. Okay, we're going to get back to the conversation right now. We're going for a break. Stay with us. Don't change the channel. Okay, welcome back to the program. Well, Waliha, we were talking before, you know, we were discussing how you embarked upon this journey, this passion of photography, and you told us that it was a hard time of your life when you were grieving, you were in pain, and you turned to photography to sort of, you know, give that expression of what you were feeling, and it's an outpouring of somewhere that is the natural grief process. So how do you view art as, you know, a therapeutic entity as well, as part of the healing process, creativity?
It helped me just express how I feel every day, whether it was good, whether it was bad. And in those times when I could, you know, talk about my father, I feel like I could tell my story through photography, and so many people out there could relate to me in that way then. And that's it. I feel like I could tell my story, and that was therapy for me. That was, you know, sometimes you just need to vent and just put it out there and just talk about it. And I wasn't able to do it otherwise, but I feel like through photography, I was able to talk about it and just tell my story. And so yeah, it was therapy for me.
And then you communicated with others as well, as you said, other people
exactly. And other people could tell me their stories, and I could relate to their stories. So it really, really helped me.
So in other words, it's giving a voice as well.
It is.
To feelings, to situations as well, isn't it? Right. Okay. Okay. We all know about, you know, the saying that a picture is worth 1,000 words. How many times have you had that encounter in your life, and also when you were young as well, you know?
My parents, like I said, took a lot of pictures of us when we were children. And now when I take pictures of families and of weddings and brides and all, I feel like, you know, I'm a part of a very important day of their life. And if I can catch a baby smiling or you know, just catch that moment for them, and a moment has passed, but for me, if I have you know, captured that, I feel it's so exciting for me, and they're going to remember me, and I'm going to remember them, and I feel that's very, very exciting.
And those are priceless memories, aren't they? There's something a person revisits over and over again, especially. Okay, now tell us about the technique when, you know, many people will just look at a photograph, and sometimes just like a poem. For some people, it'll fall flat. For many others, you'll be able to enjoy the depth behind it, what the poet has actually written, the artistic endeavor behind it. So when you're taking a photograph, is it, you know, what is the technique behind it? What's happening?
Obviously, equipment and everything matters a lot, but there's the thought behind it that counts.
Okay.
These days, I feel like a lot of people focus a lot on expensive gear and expensive equipment, but they don't put much thought and concept behind their photo. And even though their photos might be of great quality, but they might not have a message. So I feel like it's not as much as the equipment as it is the story behind it.
That's a very important point there.
It really is. And so yeah, that's what.
Because you do see many people, you know, on social media.
And there's no good, there's no bad. Just like any art, for some people could like it, some people could not, and that's all right. That's all right. As long as I feel like you are expressing yourself and you're happy with what you're doing. It can be a very basic camera. It could be your phone that you're taking it with, and it doesn't really matter what you're taking it from, but it's the thought behind it.
So if somebody, you know, is sort of, they feel that they're able to capture things artistically.
I feel like you need to get the real essence of things.
Right.
But these days there's a lot of glamour and a lot of, you know, that's what we all want to look and be as. But I feel like I really love it when I can get the real faces of families and kids in my pictures.
The candid.
And the candid ones, where they're actually being themselves and where they're...
And not posing for a camera.
Not posing, exactly. What I tell everybody when they come to photo shoots is just don't pose for me, just be yourself, and somehow that's the hardest for them to do.
Simplicity.
But simplicity.
Yeah, that is very profound. That's true. So, you know, as we were talking about the techniques behind this, so what happens when you're making an album? You will think of a theme first, or will it be something that you think about on the way, or what happens? What planning is involved?
When I plan a photo shoot, I always have a concept in mind. I keep in mind, this is the time of the day I want to shoot at. This is the kind of lighting I want, and this is how I want the model to pose, and this is But obviously, when I reach my location or my spot or whatever, there are so many things that can just change, and that is what I like actually. I like that
versatility.
Yes, I love that. I have to work with whatever happens.
Okay.
Because that makes it more real. That makes it, So I like that about it. Of course, we have to plan. We have to think. We have to have an idea behind the picture. But I like that it's raw, and whatever is happening, I like to go with that.
Right. Okay. So, as you said, that the developing moment and everything dictates a lot as to what you're going to photograph. What themes have you captured? What are the different, because I was looking through some of your work, and there's nature, there's people, there's different categories. Which ones inspire you the most, and you really, you get lost when you're
initially, when I started photography, I was trying out everything. So I was trying out a lot of I used to take pictures of a lot of animals, a lot of nature, a lot of landscapes. But now I feel like people is what I like to photograph.
Right. And why is
expressions
that? Expressions.
I love photographing people.
That's true.
So I feel like I get bored of other landscapes and all of that. After a while, I get bored of it, but people I never get bored of.
Okay.
I feel like there's always something new. Every face is different, and so I love that.
Some of the most memorable ones, or some of the pictures that you've taken, and you've thought, oh God, this is just saying so much more than what I imagined at that moment. Any wow moments with the expressions?
There are a lot, and it would be very hard to name a few, but there are a lot. I can't name one. I can't describe one.
Who are the hardest people to photograph?
I feel like people that are very, very conscious about the way they're looking, or just about what's happening. I feel like you should give the photographer space to work, and you should trust them once you hire them. And that's when it's hard. Otherwise, mostly people get comfortable once they're there, and it gets all right then.
So how do you put them at ease?
You should see me at photo shoots. I am
Really?
just jumping around, trying to make jokes, really bad ones, and just trying to get them to ease up a little bit. And because obviously they don't know me, and I don't know them, and so yeah, I try to do that. Me and my team, we all we're very candid. We talk to them a lot, and then that's how we can get their actual expressions and their real personalities out.
Let's talk about being a female photographer in Pakistan. When you started, what was it like? Are there much more female photographers now? What was it like when you entered this field?
When I wanted to be a photographer, a lot of people from my own family actually, they did not approve of it. They thought photography is not a very respectable career, not a career to begin with.
Okay.
And they just did not approve of it. And that was a time when there weren't a lot of photographers, not any female photographers actually, except for like one or two that I knew of and I followed. But now I feel like the times have changed. We see so many more female photographers, and so it's
at events, yes, definitely.
And so it's a bit easy now to venture into this. But it is definitely hard. In a society where already women are considered lesser than men, less professional, with less work ethic,
they have to
less
work
efficient.
extra hard
we have
to make
work
their
extra
mark.
hard, and we have to not give them reasons to believe so. And I feel like a lot of it is up to how we upbring our girls, because in our upbringing we somehow our girls are not that confident. Even when I work with guys and I work with girls, when I compare them, women could be far more talented and skilled, but they won't be as confident. And
because they're not believing in themselves.
They're not believing in themselves. And that is what is lacking. And I feel like they just need to believe in themselves, and they need to stop thinking ke log kya kahenge and all of that. And they just need to put their work out there and just prove everybody wrong, because we need to stop we need to make people understand that women can be even better than men. at photography, at any.
And a very important point that you raised is that it's not just a hobby, it's a career.
It is.
Which many people do not understand at that time. They just think, okay, you know, this is something that's not usually happening. So if it's not usually happening, we have to criticize it.
Exactly, and they believe, you know, you can become a doctor, an engineer, and a lawyer, and then, you know, side by side you can also. But they don't understand that these days there's so much competition. There's like 2.6 billion photographers in the world, and to be to even, you know, compete with them, you have to stand out. And you can't do that while you are also a lawyer and also a doctor and also an engineer. You can't do that. You have to focus and you have to give it your all.
100%.
You have to.
Yeah, that's a very important point that you're making right there. How many girls have come to you and said, you know, we've been really inspired by what you're doing and we're doing the same? And how does that made you feel?
It makes me so happy. I meet so many now. At the time when I started, I did not have a lot of female photographers to look up to. I had my sister, who is a photographer in Seattle. I had her to look up to, and just literally about 2 others. And now it makes me so happy that there are so many girls that it would be hard for me to even name them. And so many of them that I know, and they're so talented, and it makes me really happy. And a lot of them come up to me and tell me that, you know, they got so inspired by me, and they knew that, you know, if I can do it, they can as well. And it makes me really happy.
That's fantastic, because that is what we need.
Yeah, it is what we need.
Female, when we talk about female empowerment, when we talk about, you know, giving women a voice in Pakistan and any other region of the world where they feel that they, you know, have been sidelined, then this is so important, to give people a skill and to tell them that, you know, you can actually empower yourself by exploring the skill.
And if you're good at something, there's more chance of you in excelling in it. And if you're an average doctor, it's better to be an amazing photographer.
I like that.
And, you know, it's better to do what you love. So you're...
So, any exhibitions, workshops, training, anything like that going on? I
have done a few workshops, and I've been planning to do others. I've been planning to do exhibitions, but somehow I don't get the time to plan for it. I feel like a lot of it has to do with me being very lazy. But inshallah, I do plan to do it.
Fantastic. Right, now, tell me, you know, somebody who wants to take, you know, without going into too much technicalities and that, in layman's terms, what are the tips for taking a good photograph?
Like I said before, we live in a world where it's so easy taking pictures. Everybody has a smartphone, everybody's taking pictures of food, of themselves, of everything. So there's too much photography in the world already, but
saturation.
You are different. So it's better to, you know, to think it's okay to be inspired by others, but to copy other people's work, you can never be too good at it. After a while, people will not really appreciate that. But you are different and you are unique, and so I feel like you should look into yourself and try to understand what you love and what you like, and think of all those things that you love and try to photograph them. Because when you love something, you look at sides of it which nobody else does. And then you take pictures of those sides and you look at it in a complete different way. And that will be your unique way, and that is how I feel you can stand out. So I feel like you need to find your own sort of style, your own niche, your own, and because it's very hard these days to stand out in this crowd.
Can you do that with a smartphone? Would you need a digital camera, and would you need that? And what if somebody wants to do this? What are the sort of the basic requirements that they need?
I feel like in the start, because to make good compositions, you don't need a good DSLR. You don't need a good but obviously you have to have that thought behind it. You have to have that creativity behind it. And once you do, so I feel like cameras can make it, you know, good DSLRs can make it a lot more easier, a lot more to work with. Obviously phones and all don't have that quality yet. But I do feel like DSLRs are very important. I do.
A basic, a basic DSLR. Nothing too, you know, for the amateur person who wants to, you know, explore and see if they have the skill to get into photography.
I have felt that myself. I used to, early on I used to carry my camera everywhere, but now as phones are getting better and better with the day, I have noticed even I don't carry my camera around everywhere, except when I have to go for a photo shoot, of course. But you know, photos of my own self and my friends and all, I feel like cameras do good. But obviously, if you want to do proper photography and you want to, then I feel like you do.
Right.
You do. But I have been working with very basic DSLR for the longest time. People think that I've been working with very high-end cameras, and it's not so. And so I don't think so. But I think that could still, you could still get away without doing that,
Right.
but you could not get away with not having a good concept and not having good compositions and not having
that is the
a
main
thought
thing,
behind
the
it.
thought
That is the main
behind it.
thing.
Okay, and as you said at the beginning of the program, that many people confuse the fact that you have to carry around lots of expensive, sort of a gear with you to tell yourself, oh God, I'm really good at this.
Okay.
But whereas, it's like you said, the thought, because many people miss that point. They think that you're outside, you've seen something you like, and that's it, you've taken that picture. That so much more goes in towards that. Okay, tell us something about light and, well, basic things as well. If you're outside taking pictures of a landscape, for instance, what are the composition rules? And there's a rule of third or something. I don't know. I'm not really good at this. So
Rule of
what's
third
that?
is pretty much. I feel like you have to make sure what kind of what time of the day suits you. What works for you actually. I feel like there's no right and wrong in photography.
Because you're told not to take pictures behind the light or whatever.
I take all my pictures behind the light.
Really?
I put all my subjects behind the light, and I love it when those sunlit pictures and light falling into your hair, and I love those. So I feel like there's no right or wrong.
I like that. That makes a lot of sense.
Yes, and just like art, it's like some people could like it, some people could not like it.
Right.
It's just whatever works for you is what matters.
Okay. How long did it take you to realize that, okay, wow, I'm getting what I want? And because in the initial time when you are embarking on any creativity, there's always this the unsure and the uncertainty that, do I really know what I'm doing? Am I getting what I want? How long did that take you?
For me, I feel like all of this happened by accident. I never planned, or actually I never thought that I could make it this far, so I never planned on it because I didn't want to be disappointed. So I just kept on going. I liked taking pictures, so I did take pictures, and it was the first time I got really happy was when a friend of mine, her mother started this furniture studio, and at the time we didn't know of many photographers, so she only knew of me, and she was like, call Waliha because she takes pictures. So I went there and I took some pictures, and they printed out a brochure for it, which I still have. And anyway, so when I got back home, she sent me an envelope, and she sent some payment in it. And I opened that and I was so confused. I was like, she's paying me for doing something that I love so much. And I feel like that was where, how could it get better than this? And I feel like that's when I really got really confident in myself. And I thought, this could be something. Because before that, because I didn't have many people to look up to. I felt like my sister's doing great because she's not in Pakistan. And I felt like, Pakistan mein to aise nahi ho sakta. But then that's when I thought, oh no, this could happen.
That's fantastic.
And then I started to put more of my work out there for more people to see.
It's the confidence building, isn't it?
It is. So that was a major confidence boost for me.
Because you're putting your work out there, and then you're waiting for that feedback. Because that feedback
is the most important.
is what tells you.
Yes,
that's so true.
That is what I love about social media. That it is like instant. You post a picture and you instantly understand whether people like it, whether
how much
people
it's
don't
clicked
like it.
with other people, and how much something is
exactly
being received. Okay, right. We'll get back to our conversation. Right now we're going for a break again, so don't change the channel. Okay, welcome back to the programme, and we're having a fantastic discussion here where we're talking about photography, and we're speaking to Waliha, who's telling us all about the ins and outs of photography and the creativity behind it and what it means. Many photographs have been passed by, you know, down in history as classics as well. So, you know, what is your definition of a classic? How would you look at something and say, you know, this really speaks to me?
Like I said before, now it's so difficult, and I feel like anything that reflects you, because I feel like we're the most different. Everybody, we as individuals are different. So I feel like if you are able to show people a little bit of yourself and stand out, so that should be what it is.
Right,
your thoughts and because those will always be different from anybody else's. So I feel like that's how you could.
So what about working in black and white as opposed to colour as well? What difference does that make?
A lot more impact, I feel like. Whenever I want a picture to put more impact and for somebody to stop and look at something, I try to edit it and make it black and white. Right. But now that I work with a lot more clients and a lot more families, I feel like I have to give them what they want. Okay. But whenever I do something creative for my own self, I really love black and white photos.
Right, yeah, it does have that classic appeal to it, doesn't it?
It does, definitely.
As you said, it does make you sort of sit back and take notice.
Try to yes,
that's true.
It does.
That's true. Okay, so you're doing a lot of portraits as well. You know, taking pictures of people and then events too. Have you ever had the thought that, you know, people are coming off as a bit? You've wanted to capture a different side, and you've had a different sort of request from people who are being photographed.
Very often, actually. I feel like these days, and it has a lot to do with the world we're living in right now. Yeah. We're so impressed by glamour, and we always want to. I feel like everybody wants to look like somebody they're not, and try to. And I don't like it when they do that. And in my photographs and during my photo shoots, I want to capture. You know what they're actually like, their relationships, and they, you know, I want it to be very raw. Sure. But it's always very hard when people want to look like models, and they want to, you know, just they've seen something on TV or on social media, and they want to make it look like that. Right. And they come in, they show me photos of models, and they're like, just make me look like that. Oh. And that's so hard for me, and that's.
And that's unfortunate as well, isn't it?
And that's unfortunate, and that's very unfortunate. And. A lot of women, the hardest and the worst one that I've come across was, I did a shoot for this couple, a very good looking couple, and in the end, the guy wanted that I edit them and make them look like models, and he was very focused on how his wife should look. And that was so sad for me, and I told him, I said, she's already so beautiful as she is. You don't want me to do all of that. But they were just like, no, you know, we would like it if you make her look like this and that. Oh. And that's very unfortunate, I feel like. That
is unfortunate, because in a way, it's sort of, you're ignoring the actual natural beauty that you have. And that's also saying that, you know, it says so much. It says that a person is not comfortable with who they are. Yeah. That's never a good thing. Exactly. So, you know, that's something, you know, there are many people, it is surprising to see that there are many people who will look at a photograph of themselves and where everybody is saying, oh, this is a really nice picture, they'll be saying, oh no, it's terrible.
Because they want themselves to look in a certain way. And it's very difficult then. It's very difficult. Yes.
Absolutely. And like you said, on social media has given that, you know, Instagram and everything.
Because we have that much access and that much.
Everybody's looking perfect.
Exactly. So I have not been able to change that as much. My sister, she's a photographer, and she works really hard to make people understand that no, it's good to be real and it's good to be different.
And it's the imperfections that give you character.
And what I have seen is people at my photo shoots that are being themselves, that are not worried about whether they're you know, plus size, or whether they're looking kind of fat, whether they have a double chin. Those are the pictures that come out the best. When the person is not worried about these things, when you're always conscious and you're continuously trying to see if those pictures are the ones that never come out well.
Yeah, and I'll tell you for a fact, the camera is really hard. Oh God, it's so hard to work with a camera, because sometimes you'll think to yourself, oh God, you know, I'm really looking good today, and then you look at the camera and you look at a recording and think, what went wrong?
So but I feel like if you're confident, you can make anything look good.
And the amazing thing about a camera is it never lies.
That's true. That's true.
I've had instances where I have, I've not been in a very particularly good mood, and I've been reading the news and television. I've had messages from friends saying, "What happened?"
That's very true.
And
that's
I'm thinking, "Oh,
yes." And no matter how hard you try, the way you're actually feeling, I will be able to capture that. And at my photo shoots, I can tell if the couple is in a fight, if they were fighting earlier on, even if right now they're not acting like it. I can tell because there's this, there's a vibe going on.
Yeah.
And so I would just advise everybody to just be themselves and
natural.
Be natural.
Because the camera does love genuine, authentic subjects.
Definitely.
I mean, that's one thing that you can't lie in front of a camera.
No, not at all.
Maybe you can lie in front of your parents or whatever, but the camera will
Not in front of the camera, no.
That's true. Okay, let's have a look now at some of your pictures. Sure. Some of the pictures that we've, really, I really like, especially this one. That's so beautiful.
What I love about photography is that once I became a photographer, I started to notice things around me so much more. I feel like I have started to love life so much more. And all these things that I would not notice earlier on.
And taken for granted.
And taken for granted.
Yeah.
I do notice these. So this was during another photo shoot that I was doing. And I was way into all of these trees, and I suddenly saw this bird sitting in her nest, and this was like within my reach. It wasn't like up in the. This is what I really liked about it, is that she wasn't scared or anything. She was just there.
She looked so relaxed.
Yes, and I was very close to her. Like I was probably like 5 feet away from her. And
that's a fantastic picture.
I mean, look,
the whole thing, again, you see, the 1,000 words that come in with the picture, it's not just a picture. For so many people, it's going to mean so many other things. For somebody, it's going to mean, just home. It's going to mean, a place where you feel safe. The whole image that comes through.
It's anything that you can read from it.
Right. The next picture, let's have a look at that one. Right. Oh, that's lovely composition.
This is the time of the day that I love shooting the most, the golden hour. And I
just... The what?
The golden hour.
Okay.
It's the time right before sunset.
Okay.
And I do most of my shoots in that light. Right. This is my most favorite time of the day.
So what are the techniques behind this?
I usually just place my subject like in front, and the light, I let it be at the back. And I love how, it outlines everything, the light at this time.
It gives it more substance.
I feel like
and
it
I love
does.
the colour, the
and
merging
glow
of colours
in it,
there.
And it just makes me very happy this time of the day.
That's lovely, that's lovely. Okay, next picture. Let's have a look at that one. And let's see what, oh, that's lovely.
This is one of my favorite places in the world these days. This is Atabad Lake. And I love that the sky is blue, the water is blue, but there's still such different shades of blue.
Yeah, that's true. You've got the blue, you've got the green, and it's merging into the golden there.
Yes, that is what I love.
That is gorgeous. That's lovely. And of course, you're actually helping tourism as well, because people are being able to see pictures like that, and then they'll
just imagine that this is Pakistan.
This is Pakistan, and we also, us as well. It's educational for us as well, because to see all those beautiful places and appreciate our country. And
one thing that I'm really happy with, because of being a photographer, I am able to get in touch with these people, and now I am part of this company where we take tours up north, and photography has brought this for me, and now I'm able to see Pakistan I never thought it could be that beautiful. Like I know that my parents have always told me, as they had traveled before I did, but now being a photographer, I get to see all these places.
It's opened up so many avenues.
That's
fantastic. Next picture. Let's have a look at the next picture then. Loving this photography. Oh no, that is one of the pictures.
This is one of my favorite
a classic, isn't it? In a very tragic. In a very tragic way. That's a classic.
I just wanted to put the message across. This is that sort of a thing that a picture's worth 1,000 words. Now, just by looking at her eyes, you can probably feel the pain that she's in and what she's feeling. And I love that as a photographer, I'm able to do that.
Was she okay with being photographed?
She was, but that's why we sort of covered her face a little bit.
Right.
And
I think that is symbolic as well. The way you've covered, if you just see her lips, her mouth has been covered. That's sort of symbolic as well, because you can see what's been going on, and
she's scared, but
and she can't speak about
exactly,
it, and
exactly.
you know, that is just so tragic on so many levels. And then again, you see, you're raising awareness. You are putting forth a subject that needs to be talked about, that needs to be out there, that people need to see. I mean, it should. The shock element in photography is something that is very important. So, what sort of a feedback did you get from people when they saw this picture?
There's always all kinds of feedback, and because of social media, you get a lot of negativity and you get a lot of positivity. But it's for you to decide what you want to. My job is to, through pictures, get a message across. And for people that want to understand it, will. For people that don't, won't.
To document reality. I mean, that's what it is. Because here you are telling people, you know, this is
what happened.
This is a story for you.
I don't like the fact that people these days try to make it look like, don't show these things because it depicts a bad picture about Pakistan. And I feel like that's such a wrong way to look at it.
Exactly.
When you don't show what the problem is, how are you going to solve it?
And these are people who are suffering, these are people who need a voice. And if that picture shows somebody, gives somebody a wake-up call, you know,
so
you've done something there. You know, that is, you know, that's something that really is very, very sad, very, very tragic. Next picture, let's have a look at that one. Oh, again, a very symbolic picture. Tell us about this one.
This is Master Ayub School in Islamabad in F6. So he's very famous now. And he's for those that don't know, he's a teacher that has been teaching underprivileged kids in a park for so many years now. So I visit him often and I go, and it's so inspiring to see these kids sitting out in the open and still so focused, still trying to learn. And it's for us to learn from them that even in those conditions, even in the, you know, in their lifestyle and all of, and where they come from, if they still have the time to come out and learn, and we should do that too.
So again, very important points that you're getting across, because you've addressed tourism, you've addressed female empowerment, you've addressed domestic abuse, and now education as well. So you see there's so many domains that are going through, and everything, just like art, it's giving a message. Whether it's conscious or subconscious, it is making a difference. It impacts other people. And for somebody who will look at that picture and, you know, they might be a busy time of the day, but they just look at something like that and it stops them in the tracks. And they think,
I feel like it's so powerful now that through a picture, people that aren't from Pakistan can know more about here. I don't like how Pakistan is portrayed as a very you know, we're like a terrorist country, and so it's our job to, through our photos, we can easily show people what it's actually like living here.
Absolutely true.
So
one of the most powerful
very
mediums.
powerful as
Excellent. Next picture, let's have a look at that one. Oh, that's a lovely, colourful picture.
I love that in Hunza, women work. Even I saw this woman, I'm not sure about her, but there was another woman who was at 95 years old. She was sitting and selling dry fruit and whatnot. So this is what I wanted to show, that age and gender and all of that doesn't matter. She makes, she has a talent, she has a skill, and she uses it and she makes money, and there's no excuse for anything.
And a productive human being, you know, using their skill. What could be better?
And you don't know their language, they speak a different language, but they get their message across. You know, they call you, they're like, come into our shop, see this is what I've made. And they're so inspiring, the women.
What were the most memorable moments there then?
I love that Hunza feels like such a safe place for women, and they have, they respect the women so much, but they also, a friend of mine just told me Hunza is the only place they have 11 cricket teams that are all female, they're all girls. And they go and they play cricket, and they do everything there. They have their own shops. So the thing that I was saying earlier, in their upbringing, they've given them so much confidence and responsibility.
Yeah.
And then that later on, they're able to have businesses of their own. They're able to do everything on their own.
Because of that confidence.
Because of that confidence.
And because of the way society is reacting towards them.
Exactly.
Because every time you have this inclusive element of people in society, you are actually sending a message for other people as well, that this is okay, this is something that we need to do.
They have restaurants where, which are, you know, owned by women. They're women waiters. They're, and I love that feel. It's amazing.
That is an amazing atmosphere for your girls to grow up in, isn't it?
Exactly, it is.
Right, that's true. I think we have some more pictures as well. There were some others. Let's have a look at those. After this one, oh yeah, now that's saying something.
This was a very dark time in my life, like I said before, and I would just get all these really dark ideas, which I don't want to get into anymore.
Right.
But I'm happy that I was able to put all those ideas into pictures and create something.
And that is so important, that instead of keeping it inside, you had that avenue where you could express that.
I did.
And, you know, it's self-explanatory. Next image. Let's have the next picture. Look at that one too. Yeah, again, that's the merging into nothingness, isn't it?
Yes, you're so right. You get me.
Yeah, it's the merging into nothingness. It's not having a voice, not being heard. Not,
exactly.
You know, where is my soul going?
Exactly.
Where am I? Where do I stand?
You're so right. You have said it.
Yeah, that is really, really thought-provoking, and that one too. These are some.
These are one of
portraits. Okay, we'll have a look at those portraits as well. Those expressions that Waliha was talking about as well. So, what are the expressions that? Okay, you're taking pictures of portraits. What expressions will move you?
Working with kids is so great because kids don't lie. Kids will just be themselves.
Yeah, that's lovely.
And that is what I love about kids. But some faces will just grab my attention. And there was this one that you just showed. There are some faces which I can't really explain, this one.
Yeah, okay.
She has such an interesting face.
Right.
And just by doing nothing and just standing there, I feel like you can, you know, really feel what she's feeling. I just feel like there's some people are so...
The eyes are very alluring, aren't they?
Exactly.
As they say, the eyes are the window to the soul, and those eyes are
And this picture is very much inspired by one of my favorite photographers. He's Brandon... I forgot his whole name, but he's a photographer on Instagram, Brandon Wofel. And this is his style that I have been following for so many years, and I just wanted to recreate it.
What is that style?
You know, the color grading, the tones in his pictures, that is completely his style. And I've been following it for so long, and I just wanted, and you know, he uses a lot of lights, a lot of bokeh, a lot of reflections in his pictures, which I love.
Beautiful, that's so memorable. Right, you know, it's been so lovely to be able to talk about all these things and see, you know, just some tip of the iceberg of some of your lovely work. So, you know, Waliha, what is your message to other girls, not just girls, people who are watching the program, who have a creative streak in them? It may or it may not be photography, being creative and wanting to do something with your life, especially if you are in a time of your life where you need that outlet, what is your message to people who are watching and what they should do?
Like I said before, you have to forget कि लोग क्या कहेंगे. You have to get over that, because you will get negative feedback and positive feedback, and you have to be okay with both. And you have to understand that it's okay, and that is how you will become better. And then you have to really work hard, because like I said before, in a day and time like that we live in, there's so many talented people out there. And so you have to work hard, and there's no other way around it. And just keep doing it. Don't be disheartened if you take bad pictures, if you get bad comments, bad negativity. That is how you will grow, and that is how you will get better. And just stay inspired. Look into a lot of people's work. Don't copy it, but do get inspired by it. Do get that drive from them.
There's a huge difference there.
There is. And do get that. Do learn from them, but don't copy their work. And I feel like that's it. You just have to keep going. I feel like you have to keep going. And
never say never.
Never say never.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much,
Thank you
Waliha,
so
for
much.
being a guest on
Thank
the program.
you so
We've had a
much.
wonderful time.
Thank you, Jean.
Okay. And with that, we come to the end of today's program. You know, like we said, never say never. You never know what's coming your way, where you can find your next talent. So sometimes the problem is that we are our own worst critics. We need to be a bit kinder towards ourselves, a bit nicer, I think. So until next week, stay happy. Bye-bye.